You're right, guys. So this is our first virtual youth talk. This could be the first of many. We don't know. Could go on for weeks like this. So it's a little bit last minute, unfortunately, because I didn't have a huge amount of notice for this, not quite knowing what was going on. So the future talks could look different from what is going to happen now. And I would appreciate your thoughts and your input, things you'd like to maybe cover, things that you'd like to see done differently, because this is for you guys at the end of the day. Right then, so first things first though, it's Mother's Day. So what I want you to do is, if your mum or your guardian is not sat next to you, I would like it if you could go and grab them for me, please. So pause the video and come back in just a second. Okay then. Right then, welcome mum. Right then, so Mother's Day today, and I want to say that mums do an incredible job. I really didn't appreciate the effort and the energy that goes into bringing up children, bringing up young people, until of course I became a father, and I'm very much involved in my kids' lives, but really not in the same way that my wife Cecilia is. And it has been incredible to really kind of see her with our children for the last 6 years, and the energy and the effort and the love is quite phenomenal. It's been a real kind of blessing to really kind of witness that. So I wanted to say that, as a young person, of course, it's quite hard to really appreciate everything that your mum's done for you, because of course you weren't, really kind of conscious of that when you were growing up necessarily, and maybe you're not so much at the moment, but your mum does do an incredible job in doing what they do. So turn to your mum, thank your mum, give your mum a hug, give your mum a kiss. She deserves that. So if you need to pause the video again, do it, and then go for that. Right. So what I wanted to talk about is the women that we find in the Bible, and there's lots of really amazing women in the Bible. So you've got, for example, Ruth in the Old Testament, Mary Magdalene in the New Testament is a good example, Martha in the New Testament. But for me, I think the most incredible woman is, of course, the Mother Mary, Jesus' mum. You know the story. So the angel came to her when she was a young person. She could well have been 15, 16 at the time. And to explain that she would give birth to the Messiah, to Jesus. I just wanted you to think about how she might have really kind of thought, what she might have kind of had going through her mind at that time. Thinking to herself that she's not only going to be a mum, but that her child is going to be this very, very kind of special person, and how she might have really thought about that. And of course he was born, and she brought him up. She would have brought him up in the Jewish faith. He was, been brought up in the local customs. But he was probably quite a strange boy in many ways. He wouldn't have been like the other children. He would have been, he had this connection with God. So he would have been quite reserved maybe at times, quite contemplative, especially for his age, very reflective. Maybe a little bit of a loner. I was going to think how she would have kind of coped with that as well. All these kind of things running through her head. Because she only wanted the best for him, of course, and she probably wanted him to be like every other child. But that wasn't to be. And then, of course, when he gets to the age of 30, he starts his ministry, as we read in the Gospels. And the Gospels make out that Mary actually followed Jesus around. So she actually kind of joined his entourage. And we do also read that she was there when he was hung upon the cross, when he was crucified, that she was part of the women, the group of women who followed him all the way to the cross. And she would have been there kind of sat looking up, seeing her son. Incredible. incredible kind of thought, really, isn't it? We tend to focus, don't we, on Jesus at the cross, and rightly so, at this time of Easter. But his mum was there, and that's really powerful and really very, very challenging. And we're very lucky that as a mum, as a dad, it's highly unlikely we would ever have to go through anything that troubling to kind of witness that. But as Mary would have undoubtedly known a long time before Jesus died, that his life and his ministry was essentially leading up to that point. She must have had to have wrestled all her life with knowing that this special person, this special boy, and then this special man, his life was leading to something very, very profound. And maybe she knew that he was eventually going to die this way. We don't quite know. But she certainly knew from the day he was born, that this special boy would leave him, or would leave her. Sorry. That he was essentially God's son, not entirely hers, of course, and that he would eventually leave her, and that she would maybe spend quite a bit of her life, not with Jesus physically there. And that's a bit like all mothers and all fathers as well, in that we all know that you as a young person will eventually grow up, and you'll eventually go off and you will lead your own life. That's one of the real purposes, of course, of parenthood, is that we get our children to the point where they are grown up enough to go and lead their own lives. But I just wanted you to kind of really think about, with your mum or your guardian sat there with you, think about, how is she kind of really, what does she really kind of feel about that? The idea that, some of you, being 15, 16, 17, could very shortly go off and, kind of leave home and start leading your own lives. How do your mum feel about that? Some of you are a little bit younger, so you've got a few more years at home, of course. But, eventually you yourself will. And, of course, you'll then go on to start your own families as well. And you'll kind of go through a lot of this kind of thought as well. But just stop the video again and turn to your mum and ask her, what does it really feel like, the thought of knowing that eventually you as a young person will leave home and start leading your own life. So come back in a minute. Well, I hope, guys, that what your mum has said to you really touches your heart. And I pray that you really draw close to your mum this day and every day. And maybe just start to appreciate a little more the incredible relationship that she has with you, all the effort and the energy and the love that she has always given you as well. And also just to feel a bit of that depth of love when it comes to knowing that one day she will let you go. She's always going to be there for you, of course. That will never stop. But certainly, she has to kind of allow you to kind of, for you to kind of grow, she has to kind of really let you go, allow you to kind of leave. And how difficult that may well be for your mum. I'm sure it will be. But, at the same time, it's it's a difficult thing, isn't it? Because, of course, as parents, we love and we relish the fact that our children do grow and become who they're supposed to be. But we do find that difficult, and I found this when my children started going to school, and I wasn't a part of every moment of their life. But you do have to let them go and let them grow. And so I just hope, as you as a young person, that you really do appreciate all the love and the effort and the energy, but also that knowingness that your mum has, that one day you will kind of go off and do your own thing. I want to just finish by encouraging you to sit down and watch a movie with your family, either today or the coming weeks. It's very suitable for Easter time. It's a wonderful movie. It's my favourite movie, and I've mentioned this to a few people. It's called Mary Magdalene, with the wonderful actor Joaquin Phoenix playing Jesus, and his real wife, Rooney Mara, playing Mary Magdalene. And it focuses on Mary Magdalene, but it also does bring in Mother Mary as well later on in the movie. And it's very, very touching, very, very powerful as well. A wonderful depiction of Jesus. So I kind of just challenge you to watch that together and to discuss the filmmaker's take on it, and what really kind of touches your heart about the movie, and your reflections upon this time as well, this time of Easter. So thank you for listening. And we'll hopefully kind of have more of these kind of smaller videos kind of just coming out on a more regular basis. Not quite sure yet. But yeah, have a great Mother's Day. Enjoy each other's company. Love each other. And go well. Amen. Bye-bye.